The US and China are locked in a high-stakes trade war today. But this isn't the first time America has clashed with an Asian economic powerhouse. 40 years ago, the US faced a similar showdown with Japan. While both conflicts involve tariffs and economic rivalry, the outcomes and the players are vastly different. Let's break it down. In the 1980s, Japan transformed from a post-war rebuilding nation into an economic titan. Companies like Toyota, Sony, and Panasonic became household names worldwide. Japan's secret? A mix of government-backed industrial policies, a culture of saving money, and a weak currency. By 1985, the US trade deficit with Japan hit $50 billion. American factories closed, workers lost jobs, and politicians panicked. Sound familiar? To protect US automakers like Ford and GM, the Reagan administration pressured Japan into voluntary export restraints in 1981. Japan voluntarily agreed to cap car exports to 1.68 million vehicles per year. But Japan adapted. They started selling pricier models to keep profits high. They built factories in Ohio and Tennessee to bypass the limits, effectively neutralizing the intended protective effect of the VERs. Equally important, though often overshadowed, was the role of the Bank of Japan in currency management. Throughout the early 1980s, the BOJ consistently intervened in foreign exchange markets to keep the yen artificially low. This policy provided Japanese exporters with a formidable price advantage on global markets, fueling the country's trade surpluses and industrial dominance. Even after Japan accepted voluntary export restraints, VERs, on cars, the currency strategy persisted. To American officials, this signaled that Japan's competitive edge wasn't just about efficient factories. It was about an undervalued currency, amplifying its export power. The first containment effort had failed to strike at the heart of the imbalance. In fact, President Reagan brought up this concern during a radio address in November 1983. Here's a clip.
Let's recognize Japanese and Korean efficiency for what it is. If their products are better made and less expensive, then Americans who buy them benefit by receiving quality and value. And that's what the magic of the marketplace is all about. The best course for us to take is to take the offensive and create new jobs through trade, lasting jobs tied to the products and technology of tomorrow. I'm confident American products can compete in world markets if they can enter foreign markets as easily as foreign products can enter ours. Currently, they can't. Restrictions and tariffs limit U.S. imports into Japan and Korea. Prime Minister Nakasone and I have agreed on an agenda for progress to reduce and gradually eliminate these barriers. My goal is to help our farmers bring Japanese consumers lower prices for beef, citrus, and other agricultural goods, help our mining, coal, and gas industries, export energy resources to a resource-poor Japan, and help our communications industries find new markets for their satellites and other products. I also encourage the Prime Minister to open his capital markets to more foreign investment. This will increase demand for Japanese yen, helping its price rise in relation to the dollar, thereby making it easier for the Japanese to buy our products and making our products better able to compete in other markets.
In 1985, President Reagan convinced the G5 countries, meaning Japan, West Germany, France, and the United Kingdom, to sign the Plaza Accord, a deal to weaken the US dollar. This made Japanese exports more expensive overnight. The yen doubled in value by 1988. Japanese companies struggled to sell abroad, and the Bank of Japan slashed interest rates to keep the economy afloat. Cheap money fueled a massive bubble in real estate and stocks. When it burst in 1991, Japan entered a lost decade of stagnation that lasted 30 years. A young Donald Trump watched the US-Japan trade war closely. In 1987, he spent $100,000 on newspaper ads, demanding a 20% tax on Japanese imports, accusing Japan of ripping off America. He repeated this on TV shows like Oprah and Larry King Live.
You took out a full-page ad in major U.S. newspapers last year criticizing U.S. foreign policy. What would you do differently, Donald?
I'd make our allies, forgetting about the enemies you can't talk to so easily, I'd make our allies pay their fair share. We're a debtor nation. Something's going to happen over the next number of years with this country, because you can't keep going on losing $200 billion, and yet we let Japan come in and dump everything right into our markets and everything. It's not free trade. If you ever go to Japan right now and try to sell something, forget about it, Oprah. Just forget about it. It's almost impossible. They don't have laws against it. They just make it impossible. They come over here, they sell their cars, their VCRs, they knock the hell out of our companies. And, hey, I have tremendous respect for the Japanese people. I mean, you can respect somebody that's beating the hell out of you, but they are beating the hell out of this country. Kuwait, they live like kings. The poorest person in Kuwait, they live like kings. And yet they're not paying. We make it possible for them to sell their oil. Why aren't they paying us 25% of what they're making? It's a joke. I think I'd be inclined, I would say that I would have a hell of a chance of winning, because I think people, I don't know how your audience feels, but I think people are tired of seeing the United States ripped off. And I can't promise you everything, but I can tell you one thing, this country would make one hell of a lot of money from those people that for 25 years have taken advantage. It wouldn't be the way it's been, believe me.
These views laid the groundwork for his future trade wars. Like 1980s Japan, China has used state support and cheap currency tactics to dominate industries like solar panels, electric vehicles, and semiconductors. Its trade surplus with the U.S. hit $375 billion in 2023, sparking similar fears of economic takeover. But there are key differences. First, scale. China's economy is 5 times larger than Japan's was in the 1980s, with strong trade ties with countries all over the world. Second, geopolitics. Japan is a U.S. ally, home to 55,000 to 60,000 U.S. military personnel. China is not. Third, military muscle. China is a strategic rival with nuclear weapons. Fourth, currency war. The U.S. dollar remains dominant, but China is pushing its currency, the yuan, in oil deals and loans to developing nations. This could weaken the dollar's global role over time. Unlike Japan, China isn't backing down. But both sides are hurting from their economic weak spots. In China, a real estate crash, local government debt crises, and deflation. In the U.S., soaring national debt, $35 trillion, and inflation from tariffs. The U.S. won the 1980s trade war by crushing Japan's economy, but the victory was hollow. Detroit automakers never fully recovered. Cheap tariffs led to higher consumer prices. Japan's stagnation slowed global growth for decades. But China won't fold. It has learned from Japan's mistakes. It tightly controls its currency, avoiding Japan's Plaza Accord disaster, invests heavily in self-sufficiency, like Made in China 2025, has deployed a long-term investment in trade and infrastructure with non-Western partners through initiatives like the Belt and Road Initiative. So, what's next? No one knows. The U.S.-China trade war isn't just about tariffs. It's a battle over who sets the rules. While the 1980s conflict ended with Japan's decline, China's size and ambition mean this rivalry could reshape the world order. One thing's clear: the stakes are higher than ever. And the fallout will affect everything from your smartphone's price to the stability of your future job.